and I just watched that Smurfs, the movie. Um, okay, so it's kind of like a musical. There's a lot of singing going on in it. I personally, excuse me, wow. I felt like the music took away from the movie, kind of stole the movie. Um, the story is basically that the Smurfs are like guardians, guardians of the universe, or guardians of the galaxy, if you want to call it that. They're like guardians of the universe in that they protect the goodness of the universe, kind of like Care Bears, kind of thing. So they kind of read into the Smurfs a little bit more. They went beyond Gargamel to what somebody, his brother, his evil brother called Razamel. And basically, there are 4 books that sort of keep the goodness of the universe going. And there's these evil wizards. There are 4 evil wizards, and they want to capture all 4 books to turn the whole universe evil. So this is in basic, the storyline is the Smurfs have to kind of stop that from happening. One of the books escaped and it went into Smurf Village and hid there. So happens that Papa Smurf, he knew about this, and he was like one of the original guardians, Smurf guardians, that protected the book. It was him, Ron, and his brother, Ken. So what happens is all the Smurfs in Smurf Village, they have a particular thing they do, so they have a particular name based on what they do, their purpose. And No Name Smurf, he doesn't have any particular purpose. And so there are a couple of things that they break in the lore to try and make the story interesting. Sorry about all this yawning. It is 10 something in the night. I hate yawning on camera, but I do. It's part of it. Anyways, so Rihanna Smurf, which is the Smurfette, she's really a contraption of Gargamel. Gargamel made her. Gargamel's in this movie, but Gargamel kind of works in favor of the Smurfs up to a certain point. So instead of Gargamel being the adversary of the Smurfs in this particular story, he actually works as the protagonist with the Smurfs, which is kind of back-fronted. So they kind of flipped certain things about the Smurf. It wasn't the conventional Smurf story. They always like to dabble around with things. And Rihanna's Smurfette is kind of bossy. Not in the sense of bossy like anybody who has a strong personality, she tries to kind of like counter and boss around a bit. So that was kind of not so cool either about the Smurfs. Couple negative things about the Smurfs. Now the movie was okay. It was an okay movie. I took it in. The singing kind of took me out of the movie. I was just tolerating the singing. And it's not that, you see, you have to understand something. Singing, when you want to just break in a song and sing, it could stop a movie from flowing. It could affect a movie's flow. Even in Zack Snyder's Justice League, when the lady started singing towards Aquaman, when he was left, it kind of breaks the flow. Now, how you do it is important, because in Rebel Moon, there are moments when people sing in Rebel Moon, but it has weight and meaning because of all that transpired before. In the case of the Smurfs, No Name Smurf, he first starts to break out singing. Well, they start off in the beginning with the la 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 la, the usual Smurf tune. But then they go into and sing a happy song. they go into sort of like kind of modern kind of dance routines. Now I get it. What the Smurfs is doing with all those highly punctuated songs and stuff is they're kind of doing a Bollywood thing. It's more like Bollywood. They're dancing and stuff. In fact, at the end of the Smurfs, they actually break into sort of Bollywood, literally Bollywood singing. They literally start um, they literally start singing um, Bollywood tunes. They were actually singing in, I think, Hindi. So I don't know if this was going to be a smash hit in India, but and they started dancing like the Hindu dance, the Indian dance. So it was kind of interesting in that respect. But I didn't really too care for the breaking out and singing, because the singing, yes, it's in context with what the story is being telling, but it kind of stops the flow because everything's centered on this particular character and what they're feeling and how they're thinking. So the moments, to me, the songs didn't work for me in the movie because it felt like everything kind of stalled and stopped, and they just wanted to accommodate the singing instead of it flowing in with the character and the feel of the movie. See, for example, when No Name started singing, it felt like it didn't feel personalized and a continuation of his frustration. It more felt like him doing a number on his frustration, and it felt separate to it. I don't know how to explain it. So those are the things that I could see why this movie didn't do so good in the box office, because the story's not moving along at certain points. The other thing I noticed about it was that, like I said, certain characters, Smurfette kind of led this movie quite a lot. You know, it was centered around Smurfette, and people talk about the female leads a lot, and this sort of. And then, No Name Smurf feels like a sort of emasculated male as the accompaniment for the strong female protagonist. And a lot of people get tired of that shit. I'll be honest with you. So there was that going on in it. They, like I said, they kind of changed up the history of the Smurfs and the story of the Smurfs, so that Gargamel is actually on the side of the Smurfs instead of the antagonist to the Smurfs. And Razumel, he turns out to be the big villain in the whole movie, because he eventually gets all 4 books, and No Name turns out to be Magic Smurf, because he taps somehow deep into his being and he finds out who he is, and he somehow gets this magic, and then he stops Razumel with goodness, and he brings back all the Smurfs, and they team up against Razumel and they take him down. And to some extent that's cool and all well and good, but it was kind of like a cop-out finish to the movie. So I would say this movie it's okay, but it's like a meh movie at the end of the day. I'm going to watch it. There were certain aspects of it that got my attention, like, the effect Smurf who was going pop, beep, pop, and making all kinds of effects, which was pretty funny. I'm not going to lie. The turtle was kind of funny in the movie as well. But to say this is a movie that the singing could take you out of the movie. I'm telling you, the singing could take you out of the movie. It really could. I think they try to do too many things that are different. Like they try to change up the lore and make the Smurfs into something more than they really are. And, and they try to teach what the moral of the story is: no matter who you are, no matter how you may appear, don't take your goodness for weakness, and good will always triumph over evil, and that kind of stuff. And they literally vocalize that in the movie. So it's kind of one of those, it was somewhat cheesy in that respect. It was trying to be sincere as well, all the way through. Um, so Smurfs. I went and saw it. I was interested because of how they advertised it, but uh, it, shall I say, does not live up to the hype. Yeah. So that's what I got on my review on Smurfs. Still, some of it's okay. So there's no cursing in it. You use a lot of Smurf. You use a lot of Smurf uh, as the word they would use in place of whatever they want to say. And I say if you can get past the singing, because there's a number of numbers in this thing. Rihanna does her thing too. I think it's an enjoyable movie. A forgettable but an enjoyable movie. So that's my review on Smurfs. But I was interested in seeing it. And I said, you know what? I went to a family reunion today. I got to see a host of the family, a host of the people. I said, come back this afternoon. I'm going to go check out Smurfs. So I said I would go ahead, check out Smurfs, and give you guys a review on it. You know, it is what it is, I think the Smurfs, the first one, was successful because it more or less kept to what the lore on Smurfs is. Didn't try to make the Smurfs out to be more than they really were. I think this one backfired because they try to make the Smurfs into something more than they are, and like superheroes, kind of like. And then the other thing was the kind of agenda that they're pushing in Hollywood today, with these sort of emasculated males and these sort of almost masculated females, which is kind of sad to see. And just a number of other things that I had a problem, an issue with the movie, besides just the singing in it. And I don't know, man. Too much propaganda, man, for movies, and that's what. Oh man, a lot of people talk about too woke a movie, and at wokeness in Hollywood, like they can't seem to stop tripping over that wokeness, Yeah, so that's what I got for you guys. That is my review on Smurfs. I think The Smurfs is better. You can watch The Smurfs. The Smurfs is another Smurf movie, but it did much better, and I think it's better all around than this one. Yeah. So that's what I got for you guys. Peace. I will give you all a little update on Restore the Snyderverse, and also on the progress of things that we can do as Restore the Snyderverse, even for Palestine. So I'll try and do maybe a stream on that tonight, or maybe tomorrow. We'll see. God bless you all.